let me take you back to a year of 2015, I think. I actually can't remember now. But basically, the Order 1886 was released on the PS4 as a PlayStation exclusive, and ultimately was hit with a lot of jeers, and that was largely because of the fact that PlayStation games were actually considered to be of exceptionally high quality during this time when the Order 1886 came out. And the biggest problems that came with the Order 1886 was that it was a fine third-person shooter, albeit that it was short for a $60 game. So people were kind of like, is like a 4 to 5 hour game really worth it? And the two boss fights against werewolves were only like, both exactly the same fights ultimately, and one of them was the final boss fight. So some of the storytelling kind of went out the window because it was clear that they had built up a lot more game, but they only could release so much. And so it made it feel very incomplete in that sense. So now we kind of learn that the Order 1886 was originally supposed to be a trilogy of history-bending games during the year in which the game was meant to take place. Ideally, the first game was, or rather the only game that we got, was the Order 1886, but the other two games were the Order 1891 and 1899. They were also planned. So keeping in mind that the Order 1886 was basically like the sort of, how would I say this, history, cybertech, Nikola Tesla makes all the weapons type of history bending that we're looking at basically during this period of time. Basically, this was explained in a French language interview with Julian Cheese, who was the actual one of the developers behind Order 1886, keeping in mind that this was Ready at Dawn, if I remember correctly, that developed this game. So yeah, basically Order 1886 was a game that rewrites history by introducing a unique, different vision of Victoria era London, basically. And there was like some conspiratorial aspects there, but basically it felt like they actually did write a lot of story, but ultimately ended up being able to only make so much in the end. And so yeah, that was kind of like how all of this stuff was going on. And so to think that there was 2 sequels that were also potentially planned, and I'm pretty sure they could have gotten canned because of how badly the game was received. Because if I look at the Order 1886 Metacritic, if we look at that real quick, we're sitting at 63, which is extremely low for a Sony first-party game during this period of time, to be completely honest. And from what it felt like, when you looked at the actual cover art, it made it seem like as if it was going to be like some sort of 4-player co-op experience, but no, it was very much a single-player game where you played as Sir Galahad of all things. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But yeah, so basically it wasn't received particularly well, and ultimately we didn't get those sequels that could have been released by Ready at Dawn. So that's interesting to note. But also, we were potentially going to get sequels, which is a bit of a surprise. But above all else, there was also this 10-page pitch for the game where Asuria said... So who was Where Asuria again? Okay, basically the sequel was going to have boasted bigger combat sequences as well as a multiplayer mode. And the thing is that it would be interesting for the Order to have had multiplayer to begin with, because I feel like it would very much contend with like Gears of War in a sense, because that's what it would feel like if the game were to have come out. But instead of fighting locusts, like you do in Gears of War, and this is coming from someone who's never played Gears of War, to be completely honest, you're more or less fighting werewolves and maybe vampires, I guess. But yeah, the team at Radio Dawn had planned where the story would have taken them, as well as other installments. They could have taken the franchise into the 20th century, being the 1900s. If the game actually did well enough to be able to be received well, but like I said, ultimately when the game did come out, people just did not like it at all. And of course, Ready at Dawn, I think, has shut down from... Yeah, okay, it was shut down entirely in August 2024. But keeping in mind that, like, they made a bunch of games, like the God of War games to some extent, on PSP. We also got Daxter, which was an exceptionally good sort of side game for the Jak and Daxter series. I'm pretty sure... I don't remember who made Secret Agent Clank, though. But I feel like, you know, Ready at Dawn could have done a very good job of that. And then, of course, you know, Order 1886, and then Ready at Dawn moved into VR before being acquired by Meta, which is basically the full history of Ready at Dawn, if I've ever seen it, and then, yeah, shut down in 2024. So, unfortunate situation for Ready at Dawn, ultimately with them shutting down, though I did make a video about that, basically when it happened. It's just, looking at all of this, I'm curious as to what you guys think in the comments, and let me know in the comments below. Do you guys think that the Order 1886 should have been given a bit more time before releasing so that they could release a fully fledged product? Because like I said, when it originally released, it clearly felt rushed. It felt like they made a lot more story that was never part of the product in the end that was created, but also the fact that there were, you know, the game was only 4 to 5 hours long. Like, if you bought the game right now on a discount, either digitally or physically, because I'm pretty sure you've got a GameStop nearby that probably has a used copy of this game, and you played through it now, like, it would be an extremely easy yet short platinum that I could probably even get in like one of my, you know, 2 to 4 hour streams, basically, if I like skipped a couple of cutscenes here and there. And it did seem like there was some very interesting electro-punk aesthetic that was going on with, like, you know, Nikola Tesla being the guy to make most of the weapons, because it feels like that's kind of how everything was made. But I might also be just completely out of my mind in that same sense when it came down to it. Sir Galahad had at least seemed like a cool character, but by the end of the game, none of the main characters are actually participating in the story except for the main character, Sir Galahad. So ultimately, like, whether you like it or not, you know, this game came out. It came out in the way in which it did. We could have potentially gotten 2 more sequels. Obviously, we didn't, because of the fact that the game didn't do well from a critical perspective. I don't know how it did from a commercial perspective, and that's kind of an unfortunate aspect of this game. But I'm actually curious, in an alternate universe where we did get these 2 sequels, do you guys think you'd be interested? And if so, where in the world would you have liked these games to have been taken? So Order 1886 would have been taken in 1886, London. So where would you like 1891 and 1899 to take place? That would be an interesting question to ask. But also, did you guys play the Order 1886, and what did you guys think about it? The reason I'm even able to talk about Order 1886, at least to the extent that I have, is because I have actually played it, platinumed it, and at least paid some attention to the story, if not completely, because at the end of the day, the story is the main thing that this game had going for it in the end. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, and just basically anything I've mentioned in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year, and with all that being said, watching till the end of the video is basically the best thing that you can do for the channel. But I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.